pairing. So we have this last wine, and I'll put up a label, Vigean-Chevreau, Cuvee Silex. Silex refers to siliceous soil, silica soil. The bottle I have is a little different, but here on the bottom it says Vin issu de raisons d'agriculture biologique, which means wine made with grapes from organic farming. And I'm going to hold up my bottle here, and it just says Vin biologique at the very bottom. So this is a slightly different label, and this is probably what you'll see in the U.S. It's brought in by Cynthia Hurley, and this also is 12.5%. And we're serving this last because I think both of us thought this was a little bit more complex when we first tried it than the previous one. And I'm just curious now that it's an hour later and things have changed. Good wine is alive, and air is it's like it's the same for us. It breathes. It's fuel, and things change and become more perfumed and less perfumed, and that's one of the exciting things about wine. So I'm curious what has happened here. Let's check this out. What are your thoughts on this wine?
I love this wine. To me, this is kind of the creme de la creme of Vouvray, because the Cuvée Silex. This is the limestone, the tuffeau of Vouvray, and there is just a wee strip on top of clay and silicates, and that is the Aubouis. It's Aubus that I mentioned before, and that gives a very filigreed texture to the wine. I'm very much a texture taster, but there is also so much flavor here, and as opposed to being a powerhouse of flavor, it has this filigreed texture behind it. So there's this really interesting juxtaposition to me of these two things happening in the mouth. And to me, this is just, it's mind-blowingly complex and totally satisfying.
And it's $21 freaking dollars. And I agree. This is like, it's like layers and layers of silk in the mouth that somehow when they bind together have this power. It has such depth and cut, and perfect balance, and explodes with all these flavors. And what kills me, the texture of this wine is limestone. It's almost like I put limestone in my mouth.
Yeah.
Which is that, we had that discussion in the beginning about scientists saying that there's no transfer of minerality. But why does this taste like there's limestone in my mouth?
Yeah. It's stunning. And this to me is a wine that must have food, and food at the table. This is a wine that requires a bit more reflection. It's not a cocktail wine. Of course it could be, but I think it deserves more. And so I mentioned that I had a pairing for this, and I have two of them. And one would be quite simply uni sushi, if you want to go pure, because I see that minerality of the limestone, and that kind of combines with salinity from the sea. But there's also this generosity of fruitness, not overly generous, but enough generosity of fruitness to go with the sweetness of the uni. And otherwise, I think that a great pairing would be roast pork loin with roasted parsnips and carrots, which is, I think, what I'm going to have to make possibly tomorrow night for dinner.
Okay. Somebody mentioned that this was salty. You mentioned salty as a compliment here. I think that this wine is salty, a little bit salty on the palate. I just love this texture. Seafood. It would work with seafood, but I don't know. Something about this is leaning me towards hazelnuts and mushrooms. I don't know what I would do with hazelnuts and mushrooms. But
what are you going to do with those two things? Come on.
Pork
Give
loin.
us a hint.
It would be fish. It would be Dover sole, probably in a Meunier butter, something like that. But I don't want fish with it because I think that it's a sneaky wine, and I think it's a much bigger wine than it's so elegant and balanced that you think, oh, it's a light wine. And I think there's a lot of power here. I think your pork thing, I would like to try this. I don't know. It's an unformed recipe, but I think this could do well with a very subtle pork belly and lentil dish, which is coming out of nowhere.
I'm down with lentils. Yeah.
A little pork belly preparation on top of lentils. I would like to try that. And the lentils could have some toasted hazelnuts in there. I'd get there eventually. I don't know. You said it's not a cocktail wine, but for me, this is a great wine to sit and enjoy as we fantasize about what we would serve it with.